This is Ian Rowe. He lives here at the Walford home, so anybody that works here will be dealing with him. He is a die-hard Bengals fan, and he loves Deadpool. The reason that we're doing this training video is because Ian's diet, which is a puree and honey thicken, is very important. If staff were to give him food that was not pureed or a drink that is not thickened, he will choke and aspirate, which will cause him to go to the hospital. It could possibly even cause him to die.
Ian, you want to say anything?
You camera shy.
Go Bengals or anything?
It's because they didn't make it to the Super Bowl.
You're still bitter about it, aren't you?
Yeah, before I go grocery shopping for the home, I'll sit down with the clients and the staff and we'll try to come up with new meals so they're not having the same meals every day. And just like with us, we don't like to eat frozen meals every day. So with them, we try to think of home cooked meals like roasted potatoes. We do homemade chili, pork and sauerkraut's a big hit here, the tacos, hamburgers, trying to think of some other stuff we do. Pizza's a big hit here, especially from Papa John's. But you have to have extra garlic and supreme. Also, when we go grocery shopping, we always have to make sure we have enough ketchup so we can puree food, enough juices if we do like a roast or something, like enough beef broth and stuff to make it real tender so it can be mechanical. And we just sit down and make up a list before we go. So one of the clients in the home, his name's James Larkin, he goes by Jimmy, is a mechanical soft. That means he has to have food that is easy to smash up with like a spoon or a fork or easily cut because he has no teeth and he will not wear his dentures. So the type of texture you're looking for is like Salisbury steak like me or like the barbecue ribs like that you can just smash up with a spoon. As you can see, the carrots and stuff are easy to smash. They were in the crock pot all day. And then the meat, you can just cut it with a fork and shred it up. If something's not soft enough, then we need to cut it up. If it's still not able for him to chew, then we usually just puree his meat if it's not able for him to be able to chew it. I also have on here some cornbread casserole. Again, you can just smash it. He loved it. It was real easy for him to eat. And then I have some taco bake. It's mainly just shells, refried beans, taco meat, and cheese. And you can just smash it up. And he was able to eat that. And almost all mechanical food, you can puree it. So that way both mechanical and puree can eat it. With Ian Rowe, he is a puree, which means his food has to be blended up. Kind of like the smoothie. With him, he is unable to chew his food, so it has to be able for him to smash it with his tongue and swallow. So what I'm going to show you is how the mechanical foods are able to be pureed. And like the roast I showed you guys that you were able to smash and everything, I already have some where all I did was put it in the blender with some of the juices from the crock pot and it blended up smooth, no chunks. If there's chunks, he could choke, but it's just real smooth. Yeah, you have to check it. Whether it be checking it with a spoon or a fork, you have to check and make sure there's no chunks, because if you were to give him a bite with a chunk in it, he would choke on it and possibly have to go to the hospital from aspirating. One of the biggest hits in this house is Papa John's pizza. Every guy will tell you they want the works from Papa John's, and Ian Rowe will tell you he wants extra garlic sauce. You have to have extra garlic sauce or he won't eat it. So I'm gonna show you how we puree his pizza, and we use ketchup and then the garlic sauce. We just start out with the normal Papa John's, the works pizza, and then we will just put it in the blender. With him, he loves the garlic sauce, so I'm gonna pour a whole garlic sauce in here. And then you have to use ketchup, which is good because there's already tomato sauce on the pizza.
Is there a rule of thumb on how much you put in?
It's your own opinion. Sometimes you'll put some in and it won't be enough and you'll have to add more. You'll see it when it starts blending up. If it's still chunky, you want to add more ketchup. That way it has like a liquid like texture to blend it up with. And with this, it came with the blender and it's just easy to push the pizza down. That way it goes all the way down to the blades. So you just take that off and you can push it down. You'll shut it off. You'll take the blender off. You'll take the stick out. And you'll check the pizza. You'll move the pizza around and make sure there's no chunks. Like the crust is the big thing. And it looks like it is all blended up. You'll take a bowl and you'll put the pizza in the bowl. Kind of difficult with the blade, so you just gotta move the blade around. And then you'll double check in the bowl that it's all blended up and there's no chunks by just moving it around. And if this is what it should look like. And if it looks ready, then you'll get Ian ready and you'll start feeding him. So I'm gonna be training one of my DSPs, Cammie, on how to feed Ian. And we're gonna go step by step to make sure Ian is safe with eating. So before we start feeding Ian, he likes that we put his tablet, you fold it up and then you fold it down. That way no food gets on his tablet. And then you make sure his bib is covering his clothes. And then Cammie, you'll pick up the food. And he likes to be fed on his left side. And then with Ian, with his pizza, you take a small spoonful because he does not like big bites. And you'll dip it in the garlic. And then you'll give him a bite, but do not put the whole spoon in his mouth. Perfect. And then you just go slow, make sure the food's out of his mouth before you put more in there. And Ian's really good. He will show you when he's ready for another bite. Ian will open his mouth when he's ready for another bite. That means all the food is out of his mouth. Another thing about when you're feeding Ian, he does tend to accidentally spit food out. So just be aware. We always want you to know, that way it doesn't catch you off guard. And whenever you feed Ian, always make sure you have a metal spoon. If you try to feed him with a plastic spoon, it will just break in his mouth from where he clenches down. When he's done eating, he will look at you and he won't take another bite, or he will try to tell you he's done. He can say some words, and every now and then he will say, "I'm done," or "no" for no more. With pizza, usually after 2 slices, he's done. Now, sometimes when you're feeding Ian or giving him his thickened liquids, he will sometimes cough. And I don't want that to scare you guys because that is normal for him. It's just if he keeps coughing and coughing and doesn't stop, then that's when you'll stop feeding him and make sure he's not choking. If Ian is coughing, just encourage him to keep coughing. If he's coughing, do not do any back blows or anything like that. But if he stops coughing and he is still choking, then have the other staff or yourself call 911 and perform the Heimlich maneuver to help him. After you call 911, call your supervisor and explain what happened. Another thing with him is when he's done eating, or drinking, you'll take his bib and you'll just wipe off his mouth, and then you will remove the bib and put a new one on him. So in the Walford home with Ian Rowe and James Larkins, they both are honey consistency thickened, which means think of how thick honey is when you pour it in your tea or on your biscuit. That's how their drinks need to be. So I'm going to show you how to create a honey thickened Pepsi, which is Ian Rowe's favorite, but it will be the same with James when you do his Coke. So this is the thicket. We use the same one for both Ian and James, and we always have it in the house. If you ever notice that we get down to 3 containers, I need you to call and let me know. That way I can get more. The Pepsi, we'll always have Pepsi and Coke in the house. It's their favorite. And you just open it up. With Ian, he likes to use his cruise cups that his mom gets him. With Jimmy, he has a Batman and a Browns cup in there that he likes to use. So you'll just pour it in. You will never use a whole can. Usually I put about half a can in. Then you just pour it in there. And you'll use a spoon to mix it. With the honey, we do about 4 to 5 scoops for the pop. So 1, and the scoop will already be in it. 2, 3, 4. And you'll mix it up. With the pop, because it is carbonated, it will foam up, so make sure you don't fill the cup up too high. You'll just mix it up. And with the thicket drinks, you can't make the thicket for later on in the day because it gets thicker and thicker as it sits to the point where they can't even drink it. So it's best just to make it when you're making it for them to drink it. So I put 4 scoops in this, pretty much to show you guys. Sometimes 4 is enough, sometimes it's not. So the way you check it is you pour it, and how it's chunky and it doesn't just pour down like straight pop, that's how you know it's done. When I look at the pop or like the chocolate milk that he drinks or apple juice, it kind of looks like a slushy. With the pop, the chocolate milk will look like a frosty and the apple juice will look like applesauce. So the same process you use for Ian when you feed him his food is the same for the drinks. You do a smaller scoop, don't put the whole spoon in his mouth, and just wait for him to swallow before you give him another bite. Anytime he has anything by his mouth, whether it be food or his thickened liquids, he is to stay up for 45 minutes before he lays down. With James Larkins, it is in his ISP. Anytime he has any food, drink, or with him, his pills, he needs to stay up for 2 hours before he is allowed to lay down. And this is to help both of them from aspirating while they're laying down. With both Ian and James, for being on honey consistent thicken, they are more prone to getting dehydrated, so we need to offer them more drinks throughout the day. Whether it be water, juice, milk, or pop, they just need to be offered drinks throughout the day. Now for James, with his drink, he can do it himself, but he's to take 2 spoonfuls and put the spoon down and then go to eating. He is not to just keep drinking and drinking and drinking, because that's when he starts to choke. Now with his eating and with his drinking, staff is to sit right at the table with him and watch him. If you have to get up and go somewhere for any reason, you are to remove his food and drink from him, otherwise he will choke and aspirate. He has lost a lot of weight. He went from a 2X to a large. So with him, we have to make sure he's eating throughout the day, whether it just be little snacks like pudding, yogurt, or if it's just little meals like giving him some leftover meat or whatever we had from the night before. We just have to make sure he is eating as much as possible. That way he is not losing more and more weight. When he's sitting there eating, because he will feed himself, he takes a long time to eat. Sometimes he'll get bored with it and just say he's done and walk away just because he's tired of sitting there. or he'll just take all day and eat. You just gotta be patient with him. Also with him, he sometimes will cough up a little bit of mucus while he's eating, or after he's done eating while he's walking around, he might cough up a little bit of mucus, but that's normal for him since he came back. So that's from him where he aspirated and got aspirating pneumonia, and since then he just coughs up a little bit every time he eats or drinks. The guys in the Walford home like to have smoothies from time to time, and it's very important that we make sure the smoothies are well blended, especially since Jimmy is on a mechanical diet. If they're chunky, he may choke. So before we prepare the smoothies, I usually get the smoothie blend bags where it's multiple fruit and veggies. This one has bananas, mangoes, pineapple, apple, and spinach. And then we will get a juice, orange juice or apple juice, and use it to make it. So we just pour the fruit in. Try and make sure I get a piece of all the fruit. And then these bags are resealable, so we reseal them. Then we pour some juice in. And because they're frozen, we don't have to add any ice or anything. And we just set it on high and turn it to about 7 and turn it on. Well, I'll stick like a spoon in it once it's not on the blender and make sure like there's no fruit or veggies in there that aren't blended up. As you can see, there's no chunks and it's pretty thick where we do not have to add thicken. If you have any questions whatsoever regarding Ian or James about their eating or drinking, it is in their ISP, or feel free to call me.